Hello everybody, welcome to my video. In this video we'll be talking about package by layer and package by feature in Java. Now probably most of you are used to seeing projects packaged by layer because this is what you will find online. Most of the online projects are using this package structure and it's perfectly fine because it's easy to set up. But that doesn't mean that it's better than package by feature, okay? Both are still useful and both have their advantages and disadvantages, as we'll see later in the video. So now we'll first take a look at package by layer. For today's video I've prepared a project example here and it's already structured by layer. So let's open it. As you can see, I've got different packages: controllers, entities, models, repositories and services. Now, what does package by layer mean? It means that classes now are divided by their role, based on what they do. That means that inside services I have my services and inside repositories I have my repositories. So this project structure actually is quite good for microservices and small projects, but I would recommend it for big projects. So if you are planning to build a big application, please avoid this structure, because it quickly becomes a mess. As you add more classes and the project grows, you'll be losing a lot of time searching for the right class, and when you finally find it, you see that this service calls another service that calls another repository and so on, so it will be really hard to debug. Another disadvantage is when you have to develop a new feature. You'll have to split your classes inside different packages, so you'll have to jump from one package to another one, and you will waste a lot of time doing so. Besides that, your packages will be full of classes, and it will be really hard to move around and search for the right class. That's why I wouldn't recommend it for big projects. But as long as you're building a microservice or a small project, then it's perfectly fine to use this project structure. It's actually quite good for that. Now let's see what this project is about. Let's open the entities package here. Let's open the employee entity. As we can see here, there's the entity annotation. This is a classic JPA entity. And then we have a few properties here: ID, which is the primary key, code, name, last name, then two constructors. It's a really classic JPI entity, this employee. Then let's move to controllers. This controller is a Spring controller and it's got some methods: find all, find by ID. We can insert an employee, we can update an employee, or even delete an employee. And as you can see here, we've got the request object. Let's open the models package here. We have the insert employee request and then update employee request. Both are records and are used in the controller as payload, basically. Let's open the service here. This is quite basic, but it does its job, and it's a perfect example for package by layer. This is basically a CRUD application. Now, as you can see here, every class here, the service, the controller, the employee entity, every class here is public, and it needs to be public to be visible to the other ones. And this is the biggest disadvantage of package by layer, that every class needs to be public to be visible to the other ones. And we won't have this problem with package by feature, because then all the classes related to one feature will be encapsulated inside one package, as we'll see later. Okay, now we know everything we needed to know about the package by layer structure. So next step is to refactor this project to package by feature structure. To do that, first we need to ask ourselves, what do all these classes do? What is this project about, basically? So we need to identify the feature of this project, what this is about, okay? And if we take a look at the controller here, you can see find all, find by ID, insert. It's a classic standard CRUD application. So we could use as a feature name maybe employee management. It sounds good, employee management. So now that we know the feature name, we can start refactoring the project. We start by creating a new package here, package, then we call it employee management. Okay, once we do that, let's move this controller, factor, move to employee management. Let's delete controllers package. Okay, then let's move the entity here, employee management, and then first repository, service, yeah, repository, let's move it, service. Then inside employee management, let's create another package called models for our models. Let's move the request objects inside this new package. Perfect. So now we can delete all the packages. Okay. So now let's go to the controller. The controller doesn't need to be public anymore because now all our classes are inside the same package. So we can use the default scope, which is visible only to the package. So now, as you can see, no more public, remove public. Perfect. Okay. Now let's go to the repository as well, to the service as well. Let's change it. Okay. Let's go to the employee. Now, our entity, no more public, but we need to leave the public scope on the getters and the setters because we are returning the entity here in the controller. So the library Jackson will need it to actually transform it into a JSON. If we had to return a DTO, as we should have done, since this is an example we didn't, in that case we could have removed the public scope on the getters and setters, but for now we'll leave them. So okay, like that. And then we, in the models need to be public, visible, because they are inside another package, and if we want to use them they need to be public, but this is not an issue. Okay, it's just the request object, and if we were using DTO we would put them in the models as well, and public of course. The important thing is that our core, okay, our domain is protected by the package, it's not public basically. This is the important thing, so that the controller, the repository, the service are not visible to the other packages. This feature is self-contained, let's say. Now, this is the package by feature, and as you can see, everything is structured inside one package, unlike the package by layer. So when you have to work on a feature, or you have a bug, you have to do something on a feature, it's easier to do it because everything is inside one directory, and you don't have to jump from one package to another one and so on. So it's definitely easier. And in my opinion, this is definitely better for big projects, because even if you have a lot of features, every feature will have all its content inside one package, so you won't have to jump from one package to another one. So it's definitely better. Now, we need to ask ourselves, how are these features going to talk to each other? So if we need one features method from another feature, how are we gonna do it? Since now every feature is protected, so it's not visible to the other ones. So what are we gonna do with that? We can simply, actually, if we want to expose one features method, we can add public to the method we want to expose, for example this one. Then of course we need to make the class public, But even if it's public, the other methods are not, so the other feature will just access this method since this is the only one public. And then this method can be accessed from another package. So this is how we expose our methods. So of course it would be better if every feature will be standalone, if I can say that, so that other features don't rely on it. But of course this depends on the project. Now if we had to return something, make sure not to return the entity, because the entity is the domain of this feature and it shouldn't be accessible to the other features. So if you had to return something, make sure to return a DTO. In Spring Data, just return a DTO instead of an employee. So you will create an employee DTO and you will return it. Just don't return the entity. Of course, if it's necessary, ideally, you should never return an entity from one feature to another one. Of course, there are exceptions, but I would suggest to find another way if possible. So now, to conclude, let's recap what we said so far. Package by layer. It's perfect for small projects or microservices. Its functionality is to divide classes in different packages. So when you create a new feature, all the classes will be split in different packages. It's harder to navigate, but it's perfect for small projects. Package by feature. This is totally different. When you create a new feature, all its content will be inside one package. And it's easier to navigate, and the classes are not public anymore, so you will use the default scope, which is package level, and it's perfect for medium, big size projects. So that's all for today. I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.